Do you feel like you're seeing more and more bad parking around Melbourne? Well, you're not wrong. There are more and more reports of terrible parking across the city. People seeing cars parked across multiple spots where they shouldn't be, blocking the ability for other cars to get through in car parks. But more and more people are documenting and doing something about it. To talk about it, I'm joined by Danny Gorog, founder and CEO of Snap Send Solve. Good morning, Danny. Danny,
Charlie.
are you there? G'day, Danny.
Yeah.
How are you?
Hi, Charlie. How are you?
Good, thank you. So are more and more people reporting bad parking?
Well, yeah, according to Snap Send Solve users, we've seen a 48% increase in reports for illegal parking, abandoned vehicles year on year. We've had about 43,000 reports in Victoria this year alone, which is enormous. It's not our biggest category, but it's one of our biggest. So, yeah, it seems to be a problem.
Now, my reflexive instinct is to say that a part of the problem are the fact that there are utes now that are the size of three former utes. Are they the biggest culprit? Are they the one that you see photos of the most?
We see a lot of photos. I mean, we have 43,000 photos. I agree with you anecdotally. I don't have that as a data point to share with you, but these utes are so big. I read an article just recently. They're changing the size of the average spot to accommodate for these huge cars. But obviously, that's one problem. But I think the things that we see most commonly are people parking illegally in ACROD bays. So that's one big issue. Parking across driveways, parking kind of at the edge of a street so that you can't make a turn. Parking over driveways is a critical one. And the other one that's quite big and gets the fury of the crowd going is petrol cars parking in Tesla or electric charging spots. That's the one that creates the most frustration, I think, on Facebook.
That is a new battleground I hadn't even thought of before. Tell me, is it more concentrated in inner urban areas or is it outer suburbs? Where are the worst culprits?
It's kind of inner Melbourne where the parking's more complicated. There are more restrictions. The signs are harder to understand. But look, it is pretty widespread, but it's definitely a city problem, not a rural problem.
And lastly, is there anything that can be done about it? Obviously, people take photos and they send it into your app and people can get shamed into doing something about it. But can people be fined for bad parking?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. Look, it depends how quickly the council responds to it. There are some councils, I'll shout out to Port Phillip Council, who have a very, very fast response rate when you use Snap Send Solve. They've got the whole system automated, so it goes directly to their parking inspectors, and they go out and they will attend vehicles, fine vehicles. There are some councils where it's a bit slower and it's a bit more of a manual process. And then most councils only have parking inspectors that work kind of during the day, during regular hours. Some inner city councils have parking inspectors that work, throughout, almost 24/7. But parking's one of those things, you pull into a bay and you might be there for 5 minutes and someone does a report and then 5 minutes later the car's moved and there's not much anyone can do. I will say that my understanding is at the moment, councils can't issue fines based on reports from Snap Send Solve or anyone else. They need an official parking officer there to issue the fine. We are, though, talking to councils elsewhere in the country about using Snap Send Solve to actually be able to issue a fine. So that's an interesting development. That's not mainstream yet, but I think it'll just keep growing if that becomes the case.
And you're running a gauntlet if you're getting into bed with parking inspectors. That's where you might be a little less popular, Danny. Danny Gorog, founder and CEO of Snap Send Solve. Thanks for your time this morning.
Thanks, Charlie.